Palestinian authorities will continue following the usual protocol in their Christmas celebrations, despite the increasing number of people infected with coronavirus in the Palestinian territories. But the celebrations will not happen in their normal form, in the presence of pilgrims from around the world and Palestinian Christians. Instead, they will be limited to a small number of officials and clerics. Anton Salman is the mayor of Bethlehem, where the largest Christmas celebrations are held. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has authorized controversial oil exploration by a survey vessel in the eastern Mediterranean for a further 6 months until June next year. The Turkish president has also obtained parliamentary approval for troop deployment in Libya for another 18 months after his ruling Justice and Development Party and its allies outvoted the opposition. The survey vessel Orak Reis will now continue searching for oil and gas in territorial waters claimed by Greece and Cyprus, in a move that will infuriate the EU. Egypt reported its highest daily confirmed cases in months as authorities said New Year's Eve celebrations would be cancelled. Health Minister Hala Zayed announced the numbers in a news conference in Cairo, which brought the country's official tally to more than 127,970 COVID-19 cases, including at least 7,209 deaths. The increase came amid repeated warnings by the government about a second wave of the pandemic. Authorities have been urging people to take preventive measures, including wearing face masks and social distancing. Turkish journalist Can Dündar was sentenced in absentia to 27 years and 6 months in prison for espionage and aiding an armed terrorist organization, where his lawyers said calling the verdict politically motivated. Dündar, the former editor-in-chief of Turkish daily newspaper Cumhuriyet, and a colleague Erdem Gül were both sentenced in 2016 to 5 years in prison for publishing a video purporting to show Turkish intelligence trucking weapons into Syria. Now a resident of Germany, he had faced up to 35 years in jail for allegedly supporting terrorism and military or political espionage. The 19th edition of the Arab Media Forum kicked off with an unprecedented virtual conference, the first since its launch in 2001 due to the coronavirus pandemic. Regional and international media experts and commentators came together virtually to discuss obstacles and issues facing the industry, with the main theme focusing on the media's performance and future in the wake of a global pandemic that began almost a year ago. In a conference spanning nearly 2.5 hours, sessions included the Arab media and geopolitical changes, the future digitized, and the Middle East new trajectories. Saudi Arabia's Human Rights Commission on Wednesday said it is preparing a training program to identify and check harassment of persons with disabilities, especially minors. The program will be launched in January of 2021, the Commission said in a statement. The rights body said it is taking several measures to ensure the protection of human rights, with a focus on the most vulnerable groups. US President Donald Trump has thrown a long-awaited pandemic relief package into doubt days before millions of Americans will lose their benefits and face eviction from their homes. In a video, Trump called the measure a disgrace and demanded Congress more than triple the $600 direct payments to US taxpayers. The bombshell came less than a month before Trump leaves office, replaced by President-elect Joe Biden, and puts in jeopardy a hard-won agreement brokered after months of partisan squabbling. The British government on Wednesday said huge swathes of England would be placed under its strictest COVID-19 restrictions as a highly infectious virus variant sweeps the country, pushing the number of cases to a record level. Britain reported almost 40,000 new infections as the mutated variant of the coronavirus, which could be up to 70% more transmissible than the original, causes the number of cases and hospital admissions to soar. The governments in Scotland and Northern Ireland have already announced that nearly everyone living in these countries would be subjected to the highest level of restrictions after Christmas. Stocks rose as the last-minute intervention by US President Donald Trump over pandemic relief plans failed to wipe out positive sentiment, while the pound gained on the possibility of a Brexit trade deal. In a video posted on Twitter, Trump said a stimulus bill agreed after months of wrangling in Congress was a disgrace and that he wanted to increase ridiculously low $600 checks for individuals to $2,000. The possibility of a delay to long-awaited and hard-fought spending plans sent US S&P 500 futures down in Asia, but they later recovered and were trading up 0.25%. Near the wreckage of Beirut's port, a charity is bringing Christmas cheer to a city hammered by a devastating explosion, rising coronavirus infections, and the worst economic crisis since Lebanon's 1975 to 1990 civil war. The Solidarity Christmas Village, decked out with flashing fairy lights and glittering trees, has been offering visitors free entry to watch concerts and pick up drinks and snacks, lifting the mood of families who cannot afford seasonal luxuries. People dressed in giant polar bear costumes and others in Santa Claus outfits offer some festive spirit to a country that is a patchwork of Christian and Muslim sects. Lebanese comedians are bringing relief and defying taboos with jokes about dating, partying during the pandemic, and how everyone is considering leaving the crisis-hit country. Laughter erupts in a venue wedged between two districts devastated by a deadly August 4th explosion that ravaged the Beirut port and squeezed at the Lebanese capital. The blast exacerbated a year-long acute financial crisis and political deadlock, as the country also struggled with a surge in novel coronavirus infections. Graffiti, part of New York's history for over 50 years, is flourishing during the coronavirus pandemic, a sign of decadence for some, but vitality for others. As dusk becomes nightfall, graffiti artists say no sleep, takes a quick look around and then gets to work on a luxury store closed since it was looted in June during protests over George Floyd's death. Graffiti was first accepted by the art world in the 1980s when it moved into galleries. The Dubai Press Club, or DPC, has announced the agenda for the 19th edition of the Arab Media Forum, set to be held virtually next week. The forum will bring together prominent regional and international media personalities and industry leaders to discuss the outlook for the region's media sector. It will be held on Wednesday under the patronage of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai. Local authorities in rural Egypt have declared a state of emergency after detecting 2 outbreaks of bird flu. Authorities have been pressing to renew them, and earlier this year, the World Organization for Animal Health, an intergovernmental body, had declared Egypt free of bird flu for the first time in 14 years. The H5N1 strain of bird flu spread in early 2000s in Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, leading to the slaughter of tens of millions of chickens and ducks. Hundreds of people were infected, many of whom died, according to the World Health Organization.